Good morning, colleagues and friends. Now we have just started our meeting with colleagues from different countries in Druskininkai, and I am very happy because some opening remarks we'll hear directly from our colleague from European Federation of Journalists, Mogens Bjernegard. He will share some experience of EFJ and maybe some national unions during last few years, maybe during this year. But most important question is priorities for our community, for our federation. Mogens, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you very much. Regarding the past, if we had to start, it's more interesting to look at the future than look in the past. But I know you're also dealing a bit with the COVID and what has happened during the COVID crisis. And I would say we've had two challenges. One challenge is what has happened in each country, that some media, they have really suffered and they have needed support, financial support to be able to survive. Today we see more media making much better than they have done during the last 1.5 years. But of course, this has been a big challenge, and because of that, we have been dealing very closely with the EU Commission to see if a part of the recovery plan could be spent for the media. Unfortunately, as this is something that each of the government themselves should deal with, and even that they have got resources for it, media has not been prioritized in the recovery plans, and this is really a pity. Last week I met the Commissioner Vera Jourva's office, and I expressed my disappointment about this because it was really something that we have expected that could be helpful from the EU. But for all, it's of course good to know that you have your recovery plans, and I think you should push your governments to make it more possible for media to survive in the future, and do all what you could do. For that, you can only do it inside your countries, and your union can use all what you have of means to push for that. The other thing that has been important during the COVID crisis is, of course, we have seen misuse of rules to block journalists for doing their job. We have had countries where journalists, they have tried to make investigative journalism. They have gone to hospitals and everywhere and other places to get their stories, and then they were denied entrance because of COVID restrictions, or they were denied to cross some borders because of COVID restrictions. It has been difficult in many places for journalists to work. There's a variety of this from country to country on how it works. Some country there have been big problems for journalists, in other countries not at all. And the third factor actually has been that, and you can see that on the website of EFJ, that we have collected all different ways to support media and journalists during the crisis, and there are actually many ways of dealing with this. Also in your countries, there have been they have taken some measures to support. So there are a variety again of supporting freelancers, supporting media, supporting loss of advertising, maybe free of VAT during the period. Really a lot of interesting things that could be useful in other situations as well. So I think it can be good to revisit, if something happens in the future, that there are actual mechanisms to use when it comes to crisis like this. But we have to be very active. Without being active, we wouldn't have got anything. So that's the point. I think that's my point about regarding COVID. So should I say something about the future?
Yes, it's the most interesting part for us, because all of us are trying to look to a future, because We also have very specific groups of journalists. As you know, we have journalists who are dealing with sport, culture, some different topics. And because of crisis in these sectors, we see how difficult it is for journalists to survive, to get information on one hand, but also to keep your own business, because many fields are really with a lot of restrictions. And this is also very difficult for colleagues, how to change your daily understanding, you know, of daily journalism.
When it comes to business models, of course, I think this is a big issue all over Europe, and not something that we in the European Federation of Journalists can solve with one fix. We have in the different projects that we have we tried to include the work with business models in the projects. And I know you from Lithuania, you have also been is one of the applicants for a bigger project regarding business models for small and startup media. So and we will, of course, we try to provide you with all such things coming up where it is possible to innovate, to be innovative. I really think that we have to be innovative in this regard. Something I think could be very useful for you to know, as I suppose you in Lithuania have many freelance journalists, as we have in most of Europe. We have been lobbying for decades for better conditions for freelancers. The problem for freelance journalists is, one of the big problems is that when unions want to help assist freelancers in negotiating, we always meet the wall of competition rules. After 2 decades of lobbying, now it seems that there will come new guidelines from the EU Commission. And we have been working very hard the last year on this because we know that this is on the table now, and the new guidelines should in some way make it easier for unions to negotiate on behalf of freelancers. That means that some more freelance and self-employed, we're not only talking about pure freelance, also self-employed individuals, solo self-employed, should be exempted from the competition rules. And this is really, I'm really excited to see what's going to happen here. This is something important for our freelancers. Another thing that is coming up is Media Freedom Act that the EU is preparing. This Media Freedom Act is a way for the EU to be proactive when it comes to countries where the media freedom are under pressure. Well, we all know that in countries like Poland, Hungary, and now also Slovenia, we have leaders that are putting pressure on media freedom, and we know that in Poland, for instance, the Polish oil company have bought up most of the regional media. We have seen independent media being closed in Hungary, and we can expect things like this in other countries in the EU as well. Because of that, the EU wants to make as such, and they will actually want to make it as a legislative matter, so they can block such developments. I don't know how they will do it, but it is interesting that they have those such thoughts. We have to be careful that it will not harm media freedom, and we are absolutely very interested in and very active in giving advices to the EU Commission on this. And there will be, I can tell you, there will be a big conference in Gdansk in the 17-18 March next year, and our plan is that this will be one of the topics, and we have invited the commissioner to be there, so we can have a discussion with her about it. Then, yeah.
Mogens, so one question regarding state support, financial state support for media. For many years in most of countries, media was really caring about independence of media and trying to keep a distance from state system, from government in generally. And the guarantees, let's say some guarantees for media was subscription or advertisement market, but nowadays we actually are more and more speaking about state support system, even on European Union level with Commission. This is a new way how we need to deal with governments looking for new models for support of journalism, especially in media. What is your opinion about this case of cooperation between governments and media sector and journalism especially?
Look, we have in Europe many countries. We have many languages, many small countries. If you want a decent democracy in each of those countries, and a democracy which is a pluralistic democracy in Europe, you have to feed the democracy. And the way to feed the democracy is to make sure that you have pluralistic media. And to have pluralistic media, the market itself cannot make it. We have, I mean, there are evidence enough to show that it's not possible, the market itself. And the market itself, you have countries with oligarchs, you have countries where politicians want to control media, as I just mentioned a few countries where it happens, and it would surely happen in other countries as well if the politicians had the chance to control it. So what can you do? You can develop business models, yes, but it's as I said, the liberal market cannot make it itself. So you have to deal with public support. I was a part of such commission in Denmark trying to make a new way of public support of media, and we renamed it Support for Democracy. And the main thing is here to ensure the arm's length principle, keeping the arm's length principle. So this is not something about what sort of is it good or bad content. It should be a way to you should find a way to support it, so you're not judging what is good, what is bad. And of course it's difficult, but there are ways to deal with it. There are actually several mechanisms around Europe you could look at, you could have a look at and make it. I think it's important that the state take its responsibility on this, and as I said, make it with arm's length principle. What is best? Is it better to have big oligarchs to finance media, or is it better to have the citizens to finance media? I think this is the question. So can you do it in the best way? Let the citizens finance the media.
My question is also regarding initiative, which comes some years ago to our parliament, and now actually we have this new regulation that every person in Lithuania with declaration of incomes every year, they can directly support any person from culture, I mean artists, and including also journalists, directly paying one part, few persons of your incomes directly to artists, and for journalists also included. Some of journalists, they get this status, official status, with specific code for tax system. Some of them are still outside the system. It is one of solutions maybe to get a possibility for every person in the country to directly to give some part of your taxes to journalists as well as for people of culture. This is also one of maybe solutions which can be directly getting some support, not from government, but via tax system. Is this a case? Like
actually, you could call a sort of a media cultural tax, where you say 1% of your tax, you put 1% of your tax going to media and culture. Absolutely, it could be a way. I think actually it could be a good way to deal with it. What we have to ensure here is that nobody should from the state should decide who can be a journalist. This is important. So if you are saying that there should be some measures to find out what journalists could be supported, I think it's important to find a way so you're not trying to pick up this person can be a journalist, this person cannot be a journalist, because then you really give a tool in hands of the authoritarian leaders to choose. They would love it. So be careful about that part. But the idea about having 0.8%, 1%, 0.6%, I don't know how much it will be for media and culture is actually very interesting.
Thanks a lot. Maybe a few words for our colleagues who comes outside European countries, because you have also today guests from Belarus, from Morocco, Moldova. I mean, we are in European Union, but we are trying to unite colleagues from abroad also. Maybe a few words for our, I don't know, solidarity issues regarding community.
Absolutely, and this is an important part because I don't think that we should just build walls around Europe, not a new Iron Curtain around Europe, not fort Europe. We should, of course, be together with our colleagues also outside Europe. You mentioned Belarus in the European Federation of Journalists. We have been working hard on how we can, in the best way, in that very, very appalling and difficult situation that our colleagues in Belarus are in, how we can deal with this. Recently, I visited your country. I was in Vilnius to find what can we do, how can we act on this in this field, and we are continuing trying to find the best way to support the Belarusian journalists. When it comes to other countries around Europe, of course, we try to be involved in supporting. I have myself been in capacity building project in Tunisia, for instance, just to mention another country close to Europe. So yes, we are indeed, it's important for us.
And Mogens, last question: do we will organize some events like we started some years ago, like Stand Up for Journalism? This is also a case of our program in this year. Stars for Journalism is still there. You said Stars for Journalism. Stand Up for Journalism. Stand Up for Journalism.
Stand Up for Journalism. Yeah. Okay. Yes. But we have a project on trust in journalism, and trust is one of the key words at the moment. Really a buzzword. Trust. Because regardless what country you are in, it can be a fantastic country like yours, for instance. You will still have the challenges on trust in journalism. Thanks a lot. Good luck for you. Thank you, and you too. Have a good conference today. Thanks.